Yeah. Alright. This video is for my dad to just show him a couple things here as he's learning to play this game. This character, Dad, right here, is the same one that you're building. I'm just on level 19, so I'm about 10 levels ahead of you right now on him. So the first thing I was going to show you is, so here's my skill tree. There's actually a guide. Let me pull this up for you so you can see. So I'm following a guide on, now obviously, like, if you look at the skill tree, it looks like absurd, right? But if we just follow the guide on it for now, like, it's pretty easy. And since these are all passive skill trees, like, all they're doing is, like, boosting your stats, essentially. So you're just boosting the stats you care about and getting to certain things on the tree. So this is what I had you doing last night, was kind of going across to here, and then you're going to start going up this tree. And then eventually you see it branches off into a bunch of stuff up here. We can kind of decide what to prioritize when we get to this. This is like the first third of your stats. They have it broken down into 3 parts. So like you can see, like, this increases your elemental damage if you've crit by 40% in the past 8 seconds, which elemental damage is your Molten Strike. So a lot of this stuff is just either increasing your tankiness, like plus to life, plus to life, plus to life, or increasing your damage for your Molten Strike, because that's like what most of our build is built around. So this is like increasing melee critical strike, and then there's some resistances. This is elemental resistance, so you get like fire resistance, lightning resistance, cold resistance, and chaos resistance. So I was just going to show you that real quick. So obviously I haven't gone through this whole section yet because I'm still here. But I did just get another skill point, and I'm trying to get to quick recovery before I branch the other way. And the reason for that is right now the way I've been playing it is I've been running out of mana for my Molten Strike a lot, which means I can't be Molten Striking all the time. So if you notice down here, oh wait, you can't see that because my video is in the way. Let me fix that real quick. Video capture, let's move this like here. Actually that's gonna be a bad place for it later, so I'll move it there. Okay, so if you look down here, I have 4 mana flasks right now, no health flask, and then I have the Quicksilver in the 3rd slot. So this is, I don't know if yours is actually in the 3rd slot. If it is, this increases your movement speed by 40%. And so let me go show you what that looks like, because you said you were having trouble seeing it. I was wondering if maybe you didn't actually have it equipped the right way. So I'm just going to run out into the wild real quick. Alright, so you can see how I'm moving here, right? And then I hit 3. You see how I speed up a little bit. I also have that white orb around me. And then you can see my mana is going down pretty decently quick as I'm killing this stuff, because basically all I use is right click, even if there's just like almost nothing there. And so I have 4 of my flasks set to mana, and I'll just pop my mana flask and you see my mana go right back up, and then I'll just keep using it, and there's just like lots of Molten everywhere, which is super fun. I like it a lot. So I haven't gotten a lot of the other stuff that goes with it. Like, I actually already have it, I'm just not used to using it. I have this ability, so I'll show you it here in a second when there's not guys all over the place. Wrecked. Okay, so if you look here, so my default attack is the default attack. If you click on these bars down here, you can map these to whatever skills you want. Now, you probably don't have a ton of skills yet, but you probably have more than you actually have on your bar, or they're like randomly there. So you gotta make sure is A, that this far right one, that's your right click, is always Molten Strike. And then, like these other skills I have, you won't have yet. So these skills all come from, oops, sorry, these skills, I might have had my mouse on the wrong screen, that was my bad. So this one's Molten Strike right here, default attack, and then a bunch of other attacks. And when you click on it, you can choose what they are. So where are those skills coming from? If I look at my gear, I have all these slots, right? There's different types of slots. You can see on my helmet, there's a link, that gold connector between them. I told you your gems didn't matter early on, and that's mostly true, as long as you had Molten Strike. Oh my goodness. Okay. But, you see, this one has a blue link to a green link, and there's no connection from that green link to this. So, linking is actually important. So, let's look at my chest piece. So you see all of these are linked together. These are all white circles. This is a special kind of chest piece. These are all white circles, which means any color can go in them. Where over here, I have to use a blue, a green, and a green. In addition, the way it works is this one right here, this is my Molten Strike, right? So this is my big attack. The other spells I have in here, Ancestral Call Support, which I do know you have, it's in your bag, in your stash. So at some point when you get 2 red sockets that are linked, so it'd be like this but red, you're going to want to put those together. Because what these other gems I have in mind do is they improve my Molten Strike somehow. And so here's my Molten Strike. It's level 6. Yeah, it's level 6 on here, and every time it levels up I do more damage, and then it gets like longer damage time, more physical damage is converted to fire. Oh yeah, and then Ancestral Call is it supports single target melee attack skills, causing them to attack multiple targets simultaneously. The extra targets must be a minimum distance from the user, and the rest of it is for minion stuff, so it doesn't matter. So what this does is it lowers your damage by a little bit, but instead of hitting one enemy, it hits multiple. And so as you level this up, sorry, my buddy Nicholas, I think you know Nicholas, he's played Diablo with us, keeps messaging me. So that's why, like, when I go around, like, before my Molten Strike, before Ancestral Call, like, oh no. It got pulled off my, oh no, because I pulled my gems out. Ha! So as you can see right now, my my Molten Strike is gone because I took it out of my gem. So let me put that back in there for a sec. And then now, you see it's almost like more of an AoE attack. I hit all 3 of those guys at the same time when I did that one Molten Strike attack. This last thing I have is called Combustion Support. And I had to buy this. I can go buy one for you because you don't get to find the person that sells these until later. So you have to like randomly get it from one of your quests. It supports any skill that hits an enemy. And it says, supported skills deal 13% more fire damage, which Molten Strike is fire damage. Excuse me, I have a cough. Support skills have a 33% chance. Sorry, gee whiz. Have a 33% chance to ignite. So 1/3 of my attacks now catch my enemies on fire. And then enemies ignited by these supported skills have a negative 11 to fire resistance. So this one gem increases my fire damage by 13%. Gives me a 1 in 3 chance to light my enemies on fire, and when they are lit on fire, their fire resistance goes down, making my damage even higher. Now, let's say I put this gem, because it's a support gem, right? It says fire support on there, level 4. If I put this gem on any blue socket in here, like let's say I put it on my shield, what it's going to do is it is going to apply its ability to the gem that is linked to it. So if I put this in my shield, what this gem does is it applies its ability to Herald of Ash, which is this other red gem I have, which really doesn't really do much. Now let's say this was a fireball attack. This ability would affect my fireball attack. It would give it increased damage, a 1/3 chance to light them on fire, and lower their fire damage, which is great. I'm not using fireball. I'm using Molten Strike. So what I have to do is make sure that this support skill is going on the skill that is relevant towards it, and it has to be linked together, which is those gold connectors. So that's why all three of those are here together. Now, I technically have other gems that make this even stronger. Why am I not using them right now? The reason is, as you can see, on the support skills, it says if you look at its name, it says support melee attack, level 5. Mana multiplier 140%. So I am boosting my attacks and making them more powerful. The downside to that is they cost more mana. And so I actually had this entire chest piece filled with things that made Molten Strike insane. And I was one-shotting groups of dudes, and it was amazing. But 2 swings, and I was out of mana. So literally, I would bust through all 4 of my mana flasks in like 10 seconds. And then I was sitting there with like no ability, and I was having to hit them with my little default attack, and it was like not worth it. So I kind of pulled some out for now, and that's why in my skill tree, and this is where kind of some of the skill tree stuff comes in. Like if you notice on my skill tree, I hit intelligence. Some of my items require a little bit of intelligence or a little bit of dex, and so you're going to naturally hit some of those things in here. So that's what part of your passive skill tree is to give you some of those things you're not naturally good at, which is strength for us. But also, when I get up to this quick recovery. Quick recovery right here gives me 20% increased mana regeneration rate. And it also increases my life and gives me life regeneration per second. But a 20% mana increase regeneration means that every time I hit it, my mana is coming back 1/5 faster. And that's going to help a lot with my mana issues. And then I might be able to add another one of those gems because my mana is coming back more, and then I can hit even harder. So I hope that kind of makes sense. So you're going to get other skills. Like I have other skills that matter in here. But right now I don't have anything linked to them. So this one you see in my gloves, there's no link here. So I have shield charge, which is an active ability. So this is an ability I have. Like if I take this off, if you look at my Q slot, there's nothing there. I put this back in my Q slot, I now have shield charge. Or I'd have to go in there and manually choose shield charge. Shield charge is pretty cool. It's a movement ability. So I just use it to move around the map. Now you can see my mana goes down a little bit. When I get my increased mana regeneration, I'm hoping I can kind of spam this. But you can move around a lot quicker with shield charge like that, right? Now, I could get a blue gem that lets me cast shield charge faster or make it cost less mana or something like that. And I could put it in here, but because it's not linked, it wouldn't do anything. I could link these. There's items that allow you to link them, and then it would boost my shield charge. I'm early enough in the game. A lot of these aren't a big deal outside of Molten Strike because that's like everything I'm doing right now. So I have Ancestral Protector. This is one that if you see it, and when we're going to be playing together, you're going to read me your gems, so I'll be able to tell you. This one summons a totem, and it increases my attack speed, and it increases my damage, and my melee range. So it's just like a bunch of melee boosts. And so I have it tied to my wheel key, but you could tie it to like anything. So what happens is if I hit that button, I summon, you see this little totem with that little red elemental dude? It's kind of like the monks. They had some like little aura, like temporary auras they could cast, but it lets me attack even faster than I was able to attack before until it goes away, and then my attack slows down. The other skill I have is Blood Rage, because we're like kind of like a barbarian, right? It adds a buff that deals physical damage over time while increasing attack speed and life leech, which is when I deal damage, I gain that like life back. And then when I kill it, it reactivates it. I think there was a similar frenzy charge on the barbarian at some point, but watch how this one works. These are like all the kind of early stuff that you're gonna get and learn how to do. So I figured I'd just show you how to use them. So here's this mob. I'm gonna hit W, and I get this buff for 7 seconds. 6, 5, 4. If I kill something, it goes back to 7, and it's increasing my damage. So now I got like 7 seconds to find something, and then come over here and kill it. And then it just keeps resetting. So I literally cast that one time, and as long as I'm chaining guys together, that buff is still there. Also, this is what I was trying to tell you. I have this mini map, so you can kind of see, like I can see what I've explored. These areas here, I haven't fully explored, so if I get stuck at a dead end, I can find them. this orange thing up here, right here, is a door. So that goes to the next area. So I know to head up to this next area, and then I can go through to the wetlands. And when we're playing together, there's going to be like a blue X on this map with each other player, and you'll see my name above it. So that's tab, the tab button. So if you have trouble finding me or following me, just hit tab and you should be able to see me and then make your way that way. Or eventually you see how I'm using the tab map to kind of, oh, I haven't cleared this area. There's a bridge over here, and then I can go across it and try to kill some stuff. So I hope that was helpful. I also have another speed movement thing. Like, that's pretty cool. It's like a blade attack, so it actually does do damage. Like, I'm actually hurting them when I do this, which is pretty cool. But it's very mana intensive, so I haven't been using it yet. Eventually, I'm hoping I get some gems, like some support gems for it that make it better. But all of that stuff is in this guide. So for now, for the most part, what I'm going to do is I'm mostly just going to tell you kind of what you need. Like, I have this guide here, Dad. And it tells us, like, this is the in-game, that video I sent you is literally what we're building of that guy just, like, massacring everything with that lightning stuff. And him, like, taking almost no damage that whole time from, like, top-end bosses. So, and this has a little list of the pros, which might be kind of hard to see. But it's very, very tanky. We have an absurd amount of life. We end up doing lots of damage. You can literally do all the content in this game with this build. Some builds can't do all the content. People will build it because it's so fast at clearing maps that they'll use it just for that, but they can't survive delving or some other feature. This build can literally do everything in the game. It can beat the end bosses. Not all the builds can. It's really fast for mapping. It's a good budget one, which means when we get to the end game, there's a list of gear that we should buy. So we can see, like, we want this specific weapon. It's called the Grellwood Shank. Also, when you find some items, we'll check to make sure. But, like, this item lets you fire 2 additional projectiles if you've been hit recently. So our Molten Strike is considered projectiles. And so what we're doing is our build is adding all these things that give us more projectiles and allowing us to hit more guys at once. And we should be able to get up to, like, 11 projectiles instead of, like, the 1 to 3 that we have right now. And then there's like a legendary shield we can use and some gloves. And so it just has all these like gems and stuff, this amulet. So this gives us damage penetration for fire, which allows us to break through people's fire resistances. So they give us like this is like a full guide on everything we might need for this build. And the trading website is really easy to use once we get to it. And then it has which flasks we should use. There's like legendary flasks. This life flask gives you almost like 3,000 life. Our life gets so high that a lot of the flasks don't end up being very good. But this one has this line that says recover full life at the end of the flask. So the way this one's going to work is you're going to use it and you're going to heal a little bit. And when the flask finishes, it's like 6-second duration, you're going to go to full health, which no other flask can do. Because we just have like over 9,000 health. Like you can see this heals 2920 life over 20 seconds. Or over 2.5 seconds, sorry. If you're at 9,000 life and you're almost dead, this is only like a small portion of that life. But in 2.5 seconds you go to full health. Because that's when the flask duration ends. So that's kind of how some of this stuff is. And you'll have a speed one and a resistance one. And this one's actually amazing. This one gives you 2 additional projectiles when you use it. So since we're like a Molten Strike utilizes like little projectiles of lightning, or sorry, not lightning, sorry, fire. As we hit stuff and the fire goes everywhere, this just makes 2 additional fire things go out. So it makes that like AoE just like huge, that you like hit one guy and it's just like lava everywhere. It's gonna be really sweet. So I hope this was helpful. I know I gave you a lot of information. I'm just gonna upload this to YouTube here in a second, and hopefully this helps you out.